QB, Nicole. I started to go live and I didn't know Carolyn was live, so I hurry up and canceled it. Because I messaged her like 3 hours ago. Hi, Liz Tops, Kathy from Texas, Sandy, and Carol Clark. I've been looking for your funny messages to me, Carol. I haven't gotten any lately. Miss them. Yes, from the elderly lady. A QB. Does Carolyn's phone doesn't really say that, does it? I know you're joking. I just saw you saying that in chat, and I thought, it doesn't say that. But anyway, yeah, she didn't respond, so I guess it was because she's been out gallivanting around. It really does, QB. What? You heard it? I'm gonna have to have a talk with that lady. Hi, Cat got my. No, I was doing it. Where's Kevin? And I let Davita know, and I let Moo know. Oh, that's hilarious if that's true. Burned hot dog. Really? What does it say again? Hi, little lady. Tell me what it says again. Hi, Lisa H. Chic. Hi, Dandy Blooms. Notice she didn't say, she let me know. Well, because you weren't going live, I just asked if she plans on going live soon. Are they done? Yeah, that's some of the freaky little ones behind me. Hi, Kathy. We're going to read from the 2022 January Extra magazine. Brand new. I just took it out of the package. I've had it for a while. A call from Two Scooter Chic. Oh, okay. All right. I thought it just said, I don't know. I thought it said something funny like, oh no. We got in the spotlight this month Abba, Something in the Air, one of the top selling pop groups of all time. Abba, an acronym of the members' names. Did you guys know that? Doll shaming. Yeah, Agnetha, Bjorn, Benny, and Annie Frid made their first recording together in 1972. Last year, they stormed the charts with Voyage, their first new album in 40 years. I never knew it was acronyms for their names. There you are, Kevin. We were wondering if you were coming back. 1972 Spotlight Time Capsule. Comix, Munchkins, and Veggie Burger. American Bobby Fischer outmatches Russian Boris Spassky to become top chessman. The international tennis balls, which are easier. The International Tennis Federation approves optic yellow for tennis balls, which are easier to see than white ones in color broadcasts. Hewler Packard. Hi, Jackie Burns. Hewler Packard debuts the HP 35, a pocket calculator with scientific functions. Slide rule sales take a nosedive. Slide rule sales take a nosedive. The nation's first subscription cable service, home box office, HBO, launches with 365 subscribers. Little kids ride hot cycles trikes, while big kids play Pong, Atari's revolutionary video game. And Merriam-Webster adds these words. She adds air hockey, Brunswick Billiards' new frictionless air cushion table game recreates a high-contact sport with paddles in place of hockey sticks. Right middle. Oh, there's a picture of it right here. I'll show it in a second. Bag Lady, to bring attention to society's neglect of old people, activist Sharon Curtin writes about one who carries everything she owns in shopping bags. Cash Cow, executives spout management expert Peter Drucker's theories and terms, such as this one for a low-maintenance business or product line with a large market share. Comics, the boundary-pushing underground cartooning scene in San Francisco, California, uses this moniker to set itself apart from mainstream comic publications. Garnet's been flipping something around on the table constantly. Going to bed now, Bert? Sleep good. Hi, Linda Vischer. I've been in bed like so much the last couple of days because I wasn't feeling well. My hair is like back to its normal crazy self. Comics is the boundary pushing underground. Oh, I already read that. Floppy disk. IBM makes its own punched card technology obsolete. Garnet. Is that really necessary? When it patents this flexible mylar disc coated with magnetic material. Garage band. Amateur musicians with local followings get their start rehearsing in the garage. The beginnings of the punk rock movement. Glitter rocks. She is warm. Oh, excuse me. Seltzer water. You made it, Davita. Hey, hey, hey. I messaged Moo. I guess she's not here. Is it Kevin? Because she's ripping paper. Oh, she has these ice cream sticks that are still in wrappers that came with some of the individual cups of ice cream I had gotten for Dave. I had kept them, just I don't know why. And she's got that in her mouth and flipping it around. Hi, Vintage Gal. Lucy J. Glitter rock. Stars perform in glamorous costumes and outlandish makeup to celebrate the spectacle of rock concerts. Munchkins. Dunkin' Donuts names these sweet treats from leftover donut middles after the little people in The Wizard of Oz and markets them to kids. Rubber chicken, an endless lineup of bland, pre-cooked dinners await political candidates such as Richard Nixon and George McGovern, who travel the country meeting wealthy donors. Spaghetti strap, Raquel Welch wows at the Oscars in a sexy gown held up by thin pieces of fabric that leave her shoulders bare. Universal Product Code, in the first real-life test of the symbol, a device at a Cincinnati supermarket scans a series of concentric circles that represent a unique number. UPCs will later be rectangular. Veggie burger. Folks try meat substitutes. After reading Francis Moore Lopez' Diet for a Small Planet, 1971, which explores the impact of livestock production on the environment. Waffle stomper. Sturdy, and some would say stylish, these heavy-soled leather boots make wearers look as if they are ready to hit the hiking trails. Hi, Taco. I know, cutie. I asked him if he would turn it down before I started. Hi, Lisa and Nia. Been wondering where you were. Carolyn asked about you as well. Hi, Video Reel. Hi, Whole 180. Thank you, Kathy from Texas. That's so sweet of you. Thank you. I love your channel. Thank you so much. You got used to it blaring, QB. Earth shoes. Yes, I remember. And I just remember I'm embarrassed because last night Carolyn and I were on the phone for a while. And I've been not feeling well. Stomach issues. So when I got a burp, I burped. So I wasn't even thinking about it. And I burped so loud right into the phone. Oh, you've been sick? Okay. Yeah, that's so sweet of you, Kathy. Thank you so much. Here we go. Don McLean. It says, farewell for a generation. Dave's got the TV down. Born in New York in 1945, Don McLean grew up playing and writing folk songs and hanging out with such influential music icons as Pete Seeger. In early 72, a few months after he recorded American Pie, its title track single went to number 1, catapulting him to international stardom. American Pie wasn't just another hit 45. On the surface, it was a heartfelt tribute to rock pioneer Buddy Holly, whose 1959 plane crash death shook 13-year-old McLean's world to its foundation. Buddy Holly was the first and last person I ever really idolized as a kid, McLean explained in an interview with Fred Bronson in the Billboard book of number 1 hits. I liked Holly because he spoke to me. McLean's composition is an 800-word epic poem in musical form that still leaves listeners scratching their heads. The song's dense lyrics become increasingly somber as the story unfolds among political and religious references. Its enigmatic figures, a jester, a king, a marching band, and a blues belting lady, may refer to pop culture icons such as Bob Dylan, Elvis, the Beatles, and Janis Joplin, although McLean never confirmed that. McLean has, however, since proclaimed his signature tune to be a photograph of America that I tried to capture in words and music. He also said, I wanted to write a song that summed up everything I felt about America and music. On a deeper level, McLean has labeled his opaque saga as a sort of morality song. Convinced that America was destined for even more social upheaval than had defined the previous chaotic decade, McLean's opus lamented the loss of innocence of the first rock and roll generation. And at a 2015 auction, McLean's original working manuscript for American Pie fetched $1.2 million. And here he is, picture of him from his home in Brandon, Oregon. Hi, Tracy Claus. Hi, Linda Gelb. Here's some trivial pursuits. Faster, higher, stronger. At the Olympics in Munich, a mustachioed Mark Spitz above wins 7 gold medals, breaking the world record in every event. How well do you remember other Americans who have captured the Olympics' highest honor? Okay, number 1, see if you know who this is. Let me ask some questions first, Vintage. Tracy, hold on. Number 1, this sprinter and long jumper wins 4 gold medals at the 1936 Berlin Olympic Games to the dismay of the Nazis. I know who this is. Anybody know? I know this one. Yes, Jesse Owens. Yes. Number 2, at the Olympics in Mexico City in 1968, he changes high jump technique forever and wins the gold while doing it. You don't know Jesse Owens, QB? Anybody know the question to number 2? I had looked up the answer already, and I've never heard of him. Nope, it's Dick Fosbury. Okay, number 3, she and her wedge haircut win figure skating gold in the 1976 Innsbruck Olympics. I know you guys know this one. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, Dorothy Hamill. Number 4, he's the first man to win springboard and platform diving titles in consecutive Olympic Games, 1984 and 1988. Pretty sure I know who this is, too. Yep. Yep. Greg Louganis, Taco. Yep. Number 5, the 1992 Barcelona Games are the setting for this Mexican-American boxer's gold medal win. I'm not sure about that. Oh. Anyone know that one? No, you're not. That one is Oscar de la Hoya. And number 6. As doubles partners, these siblings have won gold in 3 summer games: 2000, 2008, and 2012. Okay, Jackie. Yep. This one's easy. Yep. That's right. Serena and Venus Williams. And then the last one at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, held in 2021, this gymnast wins women's all around gold. Can't think of the name. Suni Lee, if I pronounced her name right. Suni Lee. Yeah, I noticed his TV's gotten louder now. Okay, these are some little clips people have written in about our lives. Here's a picture: warm smiles. The weather turned bright and beautiful after a snowstorm one winter's day in 1966. And our kids, Bruce, Linda, and twins Billy and Susan, took advantage of it. This was taken in front of our home in New York on Long Island. Sent in by Odette Landers, Fort Pierce, Florida. You guys. And thank you again, Kathy. That was so sweet of you. I'm really touched by that. Here we go. We're going to read this little short. Here's the picture. It's neighborhood pals, Linda and Dorothy, build a snowman to bombard. I don't see Lisa D. Hi, Lisa D. That would be a good one, though, video reel. Life on East 4th Street. Winter and summer. Kids play games and sometimes watch out for the truant officer. And your dad is 96, isn't he? Or 94? He's up there, right? Many of my friends lived on my street, East 4th, near Prospect Park in Brooklyn, during the late 1940s and early 50s. Linda Hart and I played in the snow in winter, and in the summertime, Helen Burns, Lydia Gaglia, and I picked and ate the delicious ripe cherries from a tree growing in Lydia's father's front yard. 94. That's wonderful. Me too, Davita. We kids played all the typical games of the era. Pickup sticks, board games, and jacks. We played baseball, skated, and rode bikes. We loved to visit the horses, which were kept in a small barn up the street. Our neighborhood also had an abandoned house. We all believed it was haunted. Mrs. Stanfield lived next door to us. Occasionally, she let us kids come in and look at her many ancient treasures, such as the player piano, which she sometimes let us play. Most days, she stood at her gate and watched us at our games. Every day, I walked to Immaculate Heart of Mary Elementary School. One time, I forgot to bring my assignment home. I was afraid to go home without it to school the next day. I was afraid to go without it to school the next day, so I played hooky, hiding in the church to avoid the truant officer. Finally, I went home and cried to Dad. Together, we went to school to straighten out the situation. I cherish those childhood memories and would love to reconnect with those friends from the old neighborhood. Dizzy DeVere, vintage, and Jackie Burns, QB, volume contest. Oh, wow. These shoes are made for standing around. When I was about 10, my mother let me invite my friends to a birthday party in Elgin, Texas. Kathy from Texas. I don't know if you know where this is. Margaret Ann Geese arrived wearing new, shiny red sandals, which had just come in at the department store. We were all envious because new shoes were hard to come by during those World War II years. As we ran and chased one another that afternoon, Margaret Ann's shoes started to disintegrate. By the time her mother came to pick her up, the sandals were nothing but a handful of loose red straps, which were probably painted cardboard. I'll never forget the look on her mother's face when she saw what was left of the shoes she'd purchased that day. From Emily Sundbeck, Austin, Texas. And here's a picture of Emily. A picture of two little boys. It says, pushing little sis around. We lived on a big farm in Hebron in the 1930s. Our father, George Schmaling, had 6 large horses that he showed at county fairs. I'm in the little wagon with my brothers, Norm and Bob, next to me, from Joan Johnston, Lakemore, Illinois. And then here's another picture, city dog to farm dog. Topper, the Dalmatian, came to live in our small apartment on Chicago's South Side in 1949 when I was in 5th grade. He was loyal and smart, but after a year, we let him go to a small farm. When we visited months later, he was excited to see us. We had to leave, but I knew Topper would have a wonderful life. By Bill Rugis, Long Beach, California. Oh. Thank you, a whole 180. Yes, we have 35 likes. 23 likes. Thank you so much. And here's a picture of the Wilcox brothers, Dual Left and Max with the International piled high. Oh my goodness. Look at all the wood in the back of this truck. Could you see Carolyn riding in that down the road with Jimmy? I can't see it. I know, Vintage Gal, it was a bad thing, right? Because they usually weren't. I guess this little guy did go. Hi, Kim D. These are great stories, aren't they? People's memories. It's called, this one's At Work, On the Road with Dad. She Had a Long Wait for a Hamburger by Helen Burson, Albuquerque, New Mexico. My dad, Max Wilcox, and his brother Duel were short-haul truck drivers. Dad drove his 1941 International truck from our home in Albuquerque to Galena, where he picked up rough green lumber and brought it back to Albuquerque to sell to Duke City Lumber Company. I don't know if I'm saying Galena right, but I'm just going with it. Galena was 110 miles away on dirt roads that made it hard going when it rained. During the summer, Dad sometimes hauled 2 loads in a day. In the winter, if he got stuck, he'd try to find a nearby house where he could spend the night and wait for the ground to freeze. If he couldn't get out in the morning, the truck had to be unloaded and dug out. My brother sometimes rode along, but Dad didn't think a sawmill was safe for me, a 6-year-old in 1946. My brother told me all about stopping for lunch. I'd never had a hamburger or a Coke, much less been in a cafe. I begged to go along. Let me check the messages, make sure. She still didn't see it. If she goes live, you guys will let me know. I have a feeling she's going to rest for a little bit before she goes live. Hi, Easily Distracted. Hi, Carol Boyce. One evening at bedtime, Dad told me tomorrow was the day. He woke me at 3:30 in the morning. I put on my dress, anklets, and Oxford shoes, and soon we were on the road. We were well out of Albuquerque before the sun came up. I looked out the window at the hills and fields of wildflowers, yellow, white, and purple, which are all gone now. At the busy sawmill, Dad backed his truck under a load of lumber. I stayed in the truck while he went into the office to pay. Suddenly there was a loud bang, and I was bounced up inside the cab, hitting my head. The mill workers had released the load of lumber onto the truck. On the way home, we stopped at the cafe, where we sat on stools at the counter. The waitress asked, "What will you have?" Dad said, "I think she wants an ice cream cone." For a moment, I was disappointed. Then Dad laughed and said, "Nah, you better make it a hamburger and a Coke for this little lady." It was the best meal I'd ever had. Back in the truck, I lay down on the seat and slept all the way home. That's cute. And here's one, Our Heroes. Here's a picture of Al Lopez, joined the Army right out of high school in 1944. Good, Vintage Gal. I'm great. I'm great. I'm glad. See? I'm still not totally with it yet. New citizen soldier. Military service was a fast track to a change in national status by Dave Lopez, Long Beach, California. Davita, you're familiar with that, aren't you? Long Beach. Antelmo Lopez, my father, came to the U.S. from Mexico when he was a child and graduated from high school in Los Angeles in June 1944. The family celebrated with a party, and then Al, as he was called, went straight to boot camp at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, where he got a fresh haircut and a new uniform. All was confusion as a diverse group of young men from around the country began the process of forming a cohesive fighting unit. One morning, at the crack of dawn, the sergeant came into the barracks. "Listen up," he barked. "Garcia, Sanchez, Lopez, Hernandez, Rodriguez, get up and be on the bus in 10 minutes. With no idea of where they were headed, Dad and the others jumped out of bed, showered, put on uniforms, and raced for the bus. At the courthouse, Dad found himself in front of a judge who asked, "Who's the President of the United States?" "Roosevelt," Dad said. The four other guys gave the same answer. The judge banged his gavel and said, "Congratulations, you're now all United States citizens." Soon, Dad was on a massive troop ship headed to the Philippines. Despite disliking rules and regulations, Dad thrived in the Army, and by the time he came home from the service, he was a sergeant. He married his high school sweetheart, my mother, Tilly, on April 19th, 1947. The newlyweds moved into a small house on Soto Street in East Los Angeles. After seeing an ad for trades that were open to veterans, Dad took advantage of the GI Bill and enrolled in an upholstery program. A true craftsman, Dad had a real knack for the trade, and after he completed the course, he started Garfield Upholstery. The shop became a fixture in the neighborhood and was in business for 44 years. Wow, it's a long time. Yeah, we're 2 degrees right here, guys, right now, unless we went up. Let's see. Let me plug my phone in. You may want to listen from the tub while Carolyn's reading. It is, where to go? Yeah, still 2 degrees here. Dave, it's supposed to be what, a high of 4 tomorrow? Yeah, it's only supposed to get to 4 degrees tomorrow. But then it's going to start warming up, I believe, after that. Yeah, Dave went out in it earlier and he said he hadn't realized it was that cold. Maybe because there, isn't a wind chill. Break out the swimsuits. Here's True Love. Loretta and Tom on their honeymoon in 1966. Drive-in meetup. It took a year and a lucky connection to say hi. By Thomas Crozier, Osawatomie, Kansas. Times were simpler when my good friend Herman Fields and I rode our bicycles 7 miles from our homes in Osawatomie to the swimming pool. So I'll just say Asa, okay? They bring it up again. To the swimming pool in Paola. One day when I was 14, we arrived to find only one other person in the pool. I had never paid much attention to girls before, but I noticed this one. She was wearing a black swimsuit and had long black hair. Sitting at the top of the slide, she was the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. I didn't have the courage to talk to her, but I did everything I could to get her to notice me. She didn't. A year later, I was working at the local drive-in theater. I was friends with the projectionist, and after the show started, I went to his booth to talk with him. Who should walk past but the girl with the long black hair? I've got to meet that girl, I said. I couldn't believe it when my friend said, "My sister?" That time I had the courage to catch up with her and start a conversation. Her name was Loretta. Several weeks later, I got my driver's license, along with my first car. Hi, crime scene cleaner. Nice to see you. I immediately called Loretta and asked her out. Our first date was to the drive-in. Her parents went too and parked right beside us. Loretta and I continued to go out for the next 7 years, although not without numerous breakups among the many dates. In January 1966, we got married. Like anyone, we've had our ups and downs, but I still would not change a thing. I'm as much in love with Loretta now as I was the first time I saw her. That's so sweet. Anybody see how they think us older people need these types of smartphones? They think we can't handle the phones the young people have. I miss drive-ins too. We do have a couple around here. But yeah, I miss all that stuff. They talk about the invention of Velcro, the helicopter, and look at this. This is a baby cage. I know, right, Tavita? It's patented in 1922 by Emma Reed of Spokane, Washington. Baby cages were popular in England with tenement families who wanted to give infants fresh air. In New York, Eleanor Roosevelt used an apartment window cage for her daughter Anna until a neighbor threatened to report it. Have you guys ever seen these? I know, I've seen them in photos. It's the photo you saw? I can't quit. I've seen them. I just can't quit staring at it up close. The pacemaker was patent was granted October 9th, 1962. Right, Carol Boyce? I'd be so nervous. But I mean, Eleanor Roosevelt, she would be the president's wife, right? Eventually. Well, I guess maybe she was the president's wife at that time when they reported her. I don't know, but I have no clue. But I keep looking at it thinking, is there any I'm looking to see if this baby can fall out. I just started realizing that. I'm looking to see if there's any type of little opening or something that the baby could have messed with and fallen. Yeah, I am losing it here. Here's 1955 chain smoker. A model shows the efficiency of a device that lets you get your recommended daily allowance of nicotine in a single puff. Pacemaker, anyone? 1955. Come on now, this has to be a joke, right? Doesn't it? I guess it's not a joke. She looks like she's pretty serious. And the Telecaster guitar was invented, the Fender, invented, patent granted August 14th, 1951. Hi, Margot K. Hi, Shelley Ellis. (1957), the Aero car, invented by Moulton Moult Taylor in 1949. The Aero car earned Civil Aeronautics Administration certification in 1956. Taylor built 5 Aero Car 2 models shown, but couldn't persuade anyone to fund a full-scale operation. The design allowed a pilot who ran into bad weather to land and travel by road, towing wings and tail until the storm passed. Kind of clever, actually. I've never heard of that. Some flying cars like the Jetsons. Yep. This one's pretty close. The bra. Inventor is Mary Phelps Jacob. The patent was granted November 3rd, 1914. I'll go ahead and read this one. Women have always been slaves to fashion, but just before World War I, Mary Phelps Jacob freed them from 350 years of enslavement to one particularly painful, fashionable convention, the dreaded corset. Jacob was more independent than most women of her day. Wealthy and privileged, she was first married to a descendant of one of Boston's most prominent families, then to the scion of a wealthy and even more socially prominent Boston family. One evening, before dressing in a sheer gown bought for a social event, she got into a corset, a long, rigid undergarment that encircled a woman's ribs and used whalebone stays and laces to compress the waist until her figure resembled an hourglass. Introduced to womankind by Catherine de' Medici of France in the 1550s, the corset was once referred to by British Vogue as patriarchal instrument of torture that deformed the female body. When the corset Jacob put on showed above the gown's plunging neckline, she had had enough. According to the website PhelpsFamilyHistory.com, she threw away the contraption and, with the help of her maid, sewed 2 silk handkerchiefs together, then tied them behind her back with lengths of pink ribbon and cord. The ribbon was later replaced by thin nylon straps. Jacob was granted a patent for the design in 1914, but preferring nightlife to running a business, she sold the patent the next year to the Warner Brothers Corset Company, now Warnaco, for $1,500, today's equivalent of $25,000. Bra sales slipped in the 1960s as young women discarded their bras. Some burned them as a symbol of the women's liberation movement. Today, bras are back on and part of a $7.2 billion market. Really, QB? Sports bra are nothing for you? Ooh, 40 below with the windshield. Ooh. And here's a portable sauna, 1969. Sylvia Aka looks a little hot under the collar as she tries out the portable Vokes sauna bath at the London International Inventions exhibition. Portable saunas were part of the weight loss movement in vogue at mid-century. In 1967, the Food and Drug Administration seized a Volk sauna model for false and misleading label statements. Okay, here we go. Days at the arcade were an exciting mix of dings, pings, gongs, and pong. Coin slot junkies. Pinball flip out. Pop hands out nickels and she conquers the playfield. Making sure Carolyn isn't live. Send her another message. Do you want to go to the arcade? My grandfather asked one day in the summer of 1960. Pop, as we called him, didn't need to ask twice, as I ran out to his Plymouth Belvedere as fast as my little 5-year-old legs could carry me. It was a short ride to Leon's Arcade at the Long Branch Boardwalk. This is from Cheryl Miller of Oakhurst, New Jersey. My older brother, Glenn, was already there with his friends, having ridden his bike to the pier. Leon's was always crowded, and I stood with Pop at the entrance, drinking it in. What a din. I've never heard that used, din. What a din. Music from the antique carousel swirled in the background, accompanied by the constant thud from the skee-ball machines. Oh, I love playing skee-ball. I always play that when I see one. Most enticing were the clicking flippers. Yes, yes. Thumping bumpers and chiming bells from the many pinball machines. Oh my gosh, I love those. I watched intently as Glenn played on one of them, mesmerized by the colorful art on the playfield and back box, as well as the deftness with which he controlled that little silver ball. Teach me to play, I said. Glenn gave me a few pointers, but soon got tired of me hanging around. Go play on your own. That's how you'll learn. I got a handful of nickels from Pop and dragged a soda crate to one of the machines. I climbed up and played until the coins ran out. Pop smiled when I asked for more. The afternoon flew by while I tried machine after machine until Pop finally said, "It's time to go now." I played as often as I could at arcades all along the Jersey Shore. Sometimes I could wheedle Dad into renting a machine to put in our house for several weeks. That really boosted my popularity with the neighborhood kids. My skills were put to the test in 1977 when I entered a pinball tournament at Monmouth College, now University, in West Long Branch, while I was a student there. I was the only woman in the competition, and much to the chagrin of the guys in the game room, I bested the field and won a trophy. Nowadays, you can often find my husband and me at the Silver Ball Museum Arcade in Asbury Park, where we have VIP memberships to indulge our mutual passion for pinball. Whenever I see a youngster standing on a plastic step stool, flipping away, I can't help offering encouragement and a pointer. The more you play, the better you'll get. Really, QB? So you're pretty tired? Gray's the new hair color now. Younger women are paying big bucks for that color. Yep. Carol, please. I understand that. Yeah, QB, that's fine. You got to get your rest, hon. You just got over being sick, too. New life for old games. My family moved to New Hope, Minnesota in 1981 to manage the Pheasant Park Apartments. The complex had an arcade, and when I got my allowance, I'd rush down to play video games. I knew when Ernie, the arcade technician, would be there, he'd give me free credits on Asteroids and Donkey Kong. The 30th anniversary of Pac-Man in 2010 sparked memories of that time, and I tracked down a refurbished machine. Now I own several, which I've updated. The fun of restoring these games is seeing new generations enjoy them. From Monica Norby, Rickman, Tennessee. Find her at the mall. When we picked up subs at Cellini's, I begged Dad for change to play arcade games. We had our Atari at home, but when I was 9, there was something about sliding a quarter in the cabinet and trying to beat the high score for Pac-Man or Space Invaders. In 1981, Fun Factory opened at the Lycoming Mall in Pennsdale. It was my favorite place to be in middle and high school. I earned tokens for good grades and traded the tickets I won for a huge rainbow comb for my back pocket. From Lori Cressman, Muncie, Pennsylvania. And then they kind of go into the history of the different games. But I'll just read more of these stories. Chasing North Star. In the Search for a Game, Dad and Son Make a Big Discovery by Michael Hale, Cambridge Springs, Pennsylvania. My father, Randy, often talked about how much he loved playing pinball at the arcade when he was growing up. Finding one of those games from his past always seemed like the ultimate gift for him. And when I finally learned the name of his favorite, North Star, I began my search. A few weeks later, I found the North Pole themed game through an online collector community, and my brother and I went to pick it up. As we loaded it into the truck, the seller said, "Just so you know, this won't be your last game." I didn't tell him it was a gift. It was the first time I'd ever looked inside a pinball machine. I touched up the paint, restoring the game to its original luster, and got everything in perfect working order. We surprised Dad a few days before his birthday. He recognized the game when he saw the corner of the cabinet. He stared in disbelief at the machine, which he hadn't seen in 50 years. I reminded him that he'd told me about North Star a few weeks earlier. He pressed the start button. The ding of the bells as the ball rolled through its first switch brought a huge smile to his face. After playing a few more balls, Dad stopped and said, "Now, did I ever tell you the name of my second favorite pinball machine?" That was a little over a year ago. Dad has 7 machines now, including 3 that he played in the local arcade when he was a teenager in the late 60s. I've collected more than a dozen. We enjoy this hobby as well as the online communities of complete strangers willing to help one another. We're still hunting for Dad's elusive second favorite, Tropic Isle. Hi, Michael. That would be so fun. Every time, that's what I congregate to when we go to those things. Pinball machines and skee ball. And they talk about life in pictures in an instant. 50 years ago, Polaroid's new camera changed our view. Hard to believe that's 50 years ago, guys. Some of you weren't even born yet. And the kids nowadays think these are so cool, don't they? They sell pretty little pink ones and blue ones, and they think it's really something. Hi, Sassy Darcy. Oh, yeah, Jackie. Yeah. Me too, Sassy. Time marches on. Vintage ads. Clocks ring in the new year. 1947. They have Telechron electric clocks. 1959 or 55. Some of the newest General Electric Telechron clock models. And then 1973, Big Ben, the clock that has been waking people up for the past 60 years, is enjoying some eye-openers. I remember those Big Ben, they would advertise those. You guys remember that? It says introduced by Western Clock Manufacturing Company in 1909, the Big Ben went through several style changes over its long history, notably by industrial design guru Henry Dreyfuss, who did at least 3 iterations between 1931 and 1949. The Futura shown here was styled for kids' rooms and hip kitchens. $9.98 is what it cost. I'll just read what their ad said right here. For 60 years, our goal in life was to get people up on time. And for 60 years, nobody has done it better than us. But times change, and so do people's taste and styles. Today, people want today's kind of look, even in their alarm clocks. At West Clocks, we're giving it to them. What we've done is transplanted what many people have come to call the world's most dependable ticker into these young, attractive bodies. We call it the Big Ben Futura. It's perfect for kids' rooms, family rooms, or modern kitchens. And at $9.98, you're going to find it a great looking clock at a great price. Carolyn here? No, she's not. Let's see. Here's exclusive with Ella Fitzgerald. Meeting with famous personality has a bumpy start by Jeff Weiser, Scarsdale, New York. Jazz singer Ella Fitzgerald came to Wilmington, North Carolina in the mid-1980s when I was a young TV reporter. I'd received a tip about what time her flight was arriving, so I went to the airport to meet her. Fitzgerald was traveling alone and thus didn't have any handlers or public relations people with her. I greeted her and asked for an interview, to which she agreed. We arranged to meet at the Hilton Hotel downtown. Excited to score this exclusive talk with the legendary performer, I got to the hotel ahead of time. I was a one-man band and set up my own camera and lights. When she arrived, I coaxed her to sit down for the interview in the hotel lobby and got her lavalier microphone in place. I almost blew my big chance with my first question, asking what it was like being such a great musician for so many years. She exclaimed in exasperation, "You reporters are always reminding me of how old I am." She reached to remove her mic and began to stand to leave. I quickly apologized. What a relief that we went on to have a beautiful interview. I learned my lesson, and after that, I was more sensitive in my conversations with famous entertainers. Big Ben next auction. Old craft for a new land. Retro replay, keepsakes. Recent immigrant warms up her knitting skills to brave a Canadian winter by Bill Smiley Jr., Grimsby, Ontario. Having immigrated to Canada from Scotland in the spring of 1957, when I was 4, we had to adjust to many new things that we were not used to, including our first Canadian winter. Although the winter season in Scotland was about the same length, it wasn't at all the same weather. Winter there was more damp than anything else. In Canada, we felt temperatures dipping to depths we'd never known. As the crisp fall air turned brisk that year, my mom, Helen, soon realized our outdoor clothing wasn't going to keep us warm. We were like early pioneers for our family. Years later, more of our relatives would follow us to Canada. They would know from our experience how to prepare for the season. Thankfully, Mom was a skilled knitter and set about making matching wool jackets for herself, my dad, Bill Sr., and me. They did, they featured designs resembling indigenous symbols on the front, back, and sleeves. They certainly were eye-catching, especially when we all wore our jackets together. I donated Mom's and Dad's jackets several years ago, but I kept mine as a cherished treasure of that first memorable winter season in our adopted country. And it says focus on Cowition sweater. I know I'm not spelling that right or saying that right. Cowition. We need Country Joe here. Helen Smiley's jackets are in the style of Cowition sweaters, which originated in the 19th century among the Cowition people of British Columbia. By the 50s, their designs were so popular, imitations abounded, and yarn companies sold patterns for home knitters. In 2011, the Canadian government designed Coalition artisan sweaters, artisans, and sweaters as nationally significant. Vintage, genuine Cowican sweaters may cost about $200. New sweaters by Coalition knitters can be found for around $400. When I don't know how to pronounce something, they say it over and over and over. Right. And here's a picture of them. It says Bill's sweater still looks like new. Below, Helen and Bill Sr. are toasty at an outdoor rink. These are beautiful. Video reel. That's cute. Look at that, how beautiful. And they do look very warm, don't they? She's here? Carol. And you know I was kidding the other night. I know I can sound, serious, but back in time, take a break. Have pictures from the past, name that car, crossword, motoring memories, lasting impression. Carol. How long before you go live, Carolyn? I've been messaging you. Getting my inhaler for a second. And look at this. I didn't realize Montgomery Ward's was still in business. Hi, Larky. Did you guys know that? We haven't had one here in forever. improving America's homes since 1872. And they're saying last chance. It says, we don't want to bother you with unwanted catalogs. This could be your final catalog, and it's underlined. Please order today to receive future editions. You don't like their stuff now? Is it different? I've never seen one of these. Wards. Yeah, I'm not going to Wards. Let's go to Wards. Yeah, because we had it here. We'd say Wards. You're going to lay down? Okay, Lisa, Nia. Looks cheaper. It does. Probably us too, Shelley. Monkey Wards, yep. Hi, Terry S. You got it too? Here we go. Fun for baby. I found this charming slide among my Uncle John Court's collection. He took hundreds of pictures of family and friends from the 1940s to the 1960s. Carl Vincent, Medical Lake, Washington. She looks like an actress. Patricia O'Neill or something she reminds me of. Remember Patricia O'Neill? Look at that cute little knitted outfit. And that little guy. Hi, Anna. She does, doesn't she? Really? Female killer? What, Montgomery Ward's Robin Lane? Well, it says it's been around since, what did I just say? 1872. Oh, look at this, guys. See, these are what I'm loving, and I've been looking for old-fashioned vintage Valentine's cards just to look at them. You know, I don't want to buy them or anything, just to look. I've been looking on Pinterest. Look at this. Pictures from the past. Look what the stork brought. Vintage birth announcements and greeting cards celebrate the new arrival. Aw. I'll read what they are first and then show them. Carolyn. Okay, good night, crime scene cleaner. Woolworths, I used to love them. Special delivery. We open our archives to show how cards, many with the symbolic stork, conveyed the hopes and ideals of their times. Number one is 4-leaf clovers and a stork, double the good luck wishes on this 1910 postcard. Number two, the stork also represents fertility. This one, on an announcement from 1912, carries a baby right into the house. Oh, how darn cute. Number three, a card from 1940 has the baby waiting in the nest of a bluebird, another symbol of good luck. Number four, this birth announcement from 1912 faces the facts of life. A nurse, rather than a bird, holds the newborn. Number five, the tot hitching a ride from the stork on this 1910 era card answers the question, how do babies get here? And then number 6, by 1968, storks are a general symbol for babies, as the stork news announcement for a boy shows. Oh, how cute these are. Carolyn, these would be great for your cricket. If you could somehow copy them. That's adorable. These are, hi Annie B. These are one of my favorite vintage things I've just realized lately. I remember my granny having so many of these that she saved in a big old box, like a big shoe box or something that she had received from people or whatever. And she even made some of her own. She could draw so well. I really loved her drawings. Let's see. Davida. Hi. Oh, sorry. Not so much. Jackie Burns. Not so much. I have received them though, surprisingly. Have I? Maybe it's just getting invited to the showers. Oh, we did get one for when Jenny had Alex. She sent one with his pictures, but it's Dave's daughter. I just wondered, Davida, if there's no story that's made you tear up. Okay, honey, there's one more thing. This would be one my dad would like. Name that car. Car arrives in original condition. Because you guys have seen pictures of my dad's car that he and 3 guys, friends from high school, always said they were going to get. And every one of them got the car except one guy. My dad finally got his a few years ago. I think like 2019 maybe. Because I know I have it on my channel. Remember? You guys have seen it? That's the car he and his friends said they were going to get. Here's this guy's. A hobby that took up a lot of my time as a teenager was working on cars. In high school, I bought a Ford Model A for $15. It needed only a little body work and a tune-up. Shortly before I retired, many years later, I got another one. That Model A was mostly rust when I got it, and restoring it was a long process. Jan, my wife, spent hours redoing the interior, headliner, seats, and door panels until the car was parade ready. A car buddy in Sabetha wanted to trade me for it, which is how I got this car. After showing Jan a picture of what the restoration would look like, she agreed with me that it was a little more practical than the Model A. We could take it for evening drives or even drive it to church. I forgot to mention to her that it was quite a long way from being fully restored. When I showed up a few days later with a trailer loaded with car body parts and bushel baskets and boxes filled with small parts and a tangle of wires, My wife was not happy. She was only slightly consoled that I had received a small sum of cash with the trade. I reassembled everything, replaced the windows and gaskets, redid the wiring, and had it painted. The restoration took several months, but now Jan agrees with me. This car looks pretty cool. Okay, we're almost at the end of this. Just read the last one last story. This was just a short, there's two stories. I'll just read both of them. Motoring Memories, New England to Old Mexico. Oh, here's a picture of it too on the paper. The old yellow news article. Oh, nice. Nice, Carol Boyce. On long route, wide shoulders make the going easier. By Dick Benoit, Southwick, Massachusetts. The year was 1968, and I was recently graduated from the University of Massachusetts, where I'd been in the ROTC, Reserve Officers Training Corps program. I was scheduled to be at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, in January to complete my artillery training and receive my subsequent active duty assignment. With the war in Vietnam going full force, I expected that I would be sent there. Since I had some free time before I had to report for duty, and since I like to tackle a challenge, especially a physical one, I decided to take a leisurely trip to see parts of the U.S. up close. In mid-October, I purchased a 3-speed Raleigh bicycle and loaded it with saddlebags, a tent, a sleeping bag, and a transistor radio that I put on the handlebars. I left my home in Agawam in western Massachusetts and headed south along the east coast toward Florida. Having played fullback on the UMass football team, I figured I was good to go in terms of physical fitness. Once my trip was underway, I realized my body would need to adjust to sitting on that slender, unpadded bike saddle and pedaling 10 to 12 hours a day. After a few days, I became more comfortable, at least until my coastal route brought me into New York City. Oh, your son went there for training? This was before the days of designated bike paths or bike lanes in cities, so crossing the George Washington Bridge, the busiest bridge in the world, during rush hour was an experience I'll always remember, but would rather forget. As I continued my ride down the coast, I was struck by what a big and beautiful country we have. Every state seems to have something special. Grits and barbecued chicken come to mind. Alternately camping in my tent and staying at affordable hotels, I continued 1,500 miles to Miami Beach, near the southern tip of Florida. I spent 2 weeks at the Blue Waters Hotel, working as a handyman for room and board and planning my next move. My Army commitment was still a month away, so I put my bike on the train and traveled 350 miles back up to Jacksonville, my starting point for a Gulf Coast trip into Mexico. Since leaving Pennsylvania, the geography had been mostly flat, which meant usually I rode 100 miles a day. The route through the Gulf states and Texas and into Mexico was much the same. Texas is so big that I pedaled an entire day through King Ranch. Most of the 2,800-mile trip went smoothly and without incident. I didn't have one flat tire over the entire trip, although I did replace a very worn back tire in Mississippi, which was also where I saw my first armadillo. I made it to Matamoros, Mexico in early December. I donated my bike, including its hard leather seat, to a local church, and then flew home to Massachusetts. I finished my training in Fort Sill in January and received my duty assignment to I Corps Artillery at Camp St. Barbara near the DMZ zone in South Korea. Many in my class went to Vietnam. I am 76 now, living in Massachusetts, and have a wonderful wife and daughter, but I still miss those days. I'm thankful I was blessed with a long and safe trip. One more thing, I haven't been on a bike since. Hi, Sherry Shirley. Hi, Shannon M. How's it shaking, bacon? I said hi, Sherry Shirley, right? And one more story and we'd be done. We'd be done with this little extra book that they sent, extra magazine. Kubi's still awake. Carolyn, you still here? Lady. Lasting impressions. Back in time. Lorraine daydreamed about living it up on the beach like surfer girl Gidget. Aw, Sherry Shirley, beautiful. You beautiful. Here's this little girl. Wanted to be like Gidget. I haven't heard that name in a while. Gidget. Yes. Mommy ramblings. A born and bred New Yorker growing up in the Bronx, I've never wanted to live anywhere else except for a brief period when Southern California called my name, thanks to the TV show Gidget. The year was 1965, and I was 7. That same year, the Mamas and the Papas released California Dreamin', and like that, my fantasy life had a soundtrack. I later doubled down on my wish to move to the West Coast when the 4:30 movie, which aired weekday afternoons on Channel 7 WABC TV, introduced me to more of the beach set, including Sandra Dee in the film version of Gidget, and coastal couple Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon. This is right up Davita's alley. You did too. You loved her too, huh, Jackie? I did too. That dream life was one where I did nothing but run on the sand to the ocean to hang 10. Remember Tammy? The Tammy movies too? I just thought of that. The dream life was one where I did nothing but run on the sand to the ocean to hang 10. I'd float away from shore on a surfboard after I waxed it, according to the Beach Boys, and wait to catch a wave. I practiced by standing on an ironing board laying on my bed. Luckily, I didn't crack my head open. When my mother caught me in action and wanted to know what I was doing, the cleverest answer I could think of was nothing. If she knew I was emulating my surfer chick idols, she might have banned all beach-themed entertainment. A single mom who worked full-time, she was too tired to probe and told me only to return the ironing board to its proper place. After that, I scaled back on playing Pretend California, although my longing to shoot the curl at Big Sur lasted a few more years. When I was about 10, my mother took me from our outer borough into Manhattan to see the Christmas spectacular at Radio City Music Hall. The crowds, the glamour, and the energy in the air as we emerged from the subway were a far cry from anything I'd experienced in the Bronx. That day began a new destination obsession, one I fulfilled with my husband, Neil, who spent the last 40 years with me at my home in New York City. I'm glad, though, that at least for a little while, I was a Cali girl, if only in my mind. That's cute. Debbie Reynolds, that's what it was. Yes. Tammy, yes. Kay, Carolyn. I know you'll be going live in a little while. We're going to get more of Jody Arias. She's something else. I wish we could see her today. I know they've shown, like, pictures or whatever of her. And she was singing once, like a Christmas song or something in prison. They showed that before. So I guess we'll go. And I really, really, really appreciate everyone coming and listening. And see you at Mommy Ramblings when she goes live. I'll be there. I just watch and listen because of the old hands. Okay. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye, Lucy J. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.